Take yourself back to March of 1973. America is pulling out of the Vietnam War, and the Watergate scandal is ramping up. In the midst of all this, two pitchers for the Yankees held a press conference. Fritz Peterson and Mike Kekich gathered the press to announce that they would be switching lives. Each of them would move into the other man's house without changing anything else. In other words, they were swapping wives, children, possessions, and even dogs. So how did all of this come about? Fritz Peterson, who somehow managed to have something stuck in his teeth the day he took his team picture, began his MLB career with the Yankees in 1966. In 1969, he was joined by Mike Kekich. The two pitchers were roommates on the road and quickly became friends. In July 1972, they attended a barbecue at the home of sports writer Maury Allen. Peterson brought his wife Marilyn, and Kekich brought his wife Suzanne. At some point in the evening, the four of them apparently realized they all preferred the opposite couple's partner. After the barbecue, the couples decided to keep the party going and meet at a 24/7 diner. Except Fritz Peterson would drive there with Suzanne Kekich, and Mike Kekich would drive there with Marilyn Peterson. Suzanne and Fritz made it to the diner just fine, but Marilyn and Mike Horndog Kekich took a whopping 2 hours to mosey on into that place. So, after the success of that dry run, although it didn't seem too dry for Mike and Marilyn, the couples kept the ball rolling. In the fall of 1972, Fritz Peterson packed up and moved into the Kekich household, while Mike Kekich made himself at home in the Peterson household. I'm sure this was all perfectly fine to the couple's young children, who surely have no lasting psychological damage from the experience. When the two pitchers held a conference to announce the swap, they attempted to make this incredibly weird situation appear as normal as possible. Mike Kekich said, "Unless people know the full details, it could turn out to be a nasty type thing. Don't say this was wife swapping, because it wasn't. We didn't swap wives, we swapped lives." The reaction to the announcement was mixed, with every sports journalist in attendance probably asking themselves, why did they call a press conference for this? It has nothing to do with baseball. One fellow Yankee offered a particularly nuanced opinion of the situation, saying, "It's their own damn business, and as long as it doesn't affect their pitching, it's strictly their baby." The baseball commissioner at the time, Bowie Kuhn, was apparently appalled by the situation, but there was nothing he could do without invoking some serious emergency powers. At this point, you're probably wondering one thing. What happened to the couples? Believe it or not, Fritz Peterson and Suzanne Kekich are still married to this day. They ended up having kids and eventually became devout Christians. Unfortunately, Mike Kekich and Marilyn Peterson's relationship only lasted a few months before falling apart. Marilyn took her kids and left, sending Mike Kekich into a deep depression. This impacted his performance as a pitcher, causing the Yankees to trade him to the Indians in 1973, after which he bounced around several different teams. In 1977, he was quoted saying, "It's been a long time since I've been happy," which is a very worrying thing for someone to say, but he ultimately remarried and had another kid. He now lives a reclusive life in Albuquerque, seemingly attempting to talk about this husband swap as little as possible. All in all, it's safe to say the winners of this tumultuous trade are Fritz Peterson and Suzanne Kekich, while the losers are Mike Kekich, Marilyn Peterson, the children of both couples, and the integrity of the MLB. That being said, in recent years, Fritz Peterson has been battling prostate cancer and Alzheimer's. So I guess you win some, you lose some.